Hey everyone, and welcome to 121 in Flux. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we talk about movies on this show, typically older movies, and this one is a little bit older than we've recently been doing. This is from 1964, and it's also been a little while since we last did a Godzilla movie, which we planned to do one per month. We kind of ended up skipping a month there, but this is the fourth in the Godzilla movie series, and it is Mothra versus Godzilla. Mothra getting top billing, interestingly enough. Probably because Mothra is the hero in this movie. Godzilla is actually the villain.
Yeah.
Which I don't think lasts much longer. In fact, I'm pretty sure next movie Godzilla's the hero. Uh, Probably just because King Ghidorah shows up, and King Ghidorah is always a villain. Always. But yeah, obviously this came a couple of years as well after an actual Mothra movie. There was a solo Mothra film on its own, and then we had this. So this came out in 1964. It's directed by Ishirô Honda, who directed the original Godzilla, as well as King Kong versus Godzilla. So he did a lot of these early ones. So yeah, we'll go mostly spoiler free, I think. And if we have to go into some spoilers later on, we'll give you some warning and go into it. But I think this will likely be a shorter review, because sometimes in these influxes we can hit an hour quite often.
Yeah.
I feel like this will be half that at most. Just because some of these Godzilla movies are a little bit simple and
Formulaic as well.
a little bit formulaic, certainly. But did you enjoy Mothra versus Godzilla?
I did. It was ridiculous, but I had fun with it.
I also enjoy it quite a bit. I think I like it better than King Kong vs Godzilla, and obviously better than Raids Again, which we weren't so hot on.
Yeah.
That was the second one. I really like it. And part of why I really like it is the main fight between Godzilla and Mothra is actually really good.
It is, yeah.
I if I have a complaint, is that the final fight. I don't want to get into spoilers. I'll talk about this in spoilers, but the final fight is a bit weak because it just kind of happens. But the
Yeah,
main
I know.
fight between Mothra and Godzilla is really good. And there's actual emotion in it, and you really feel like Mothra's trying to win, and it's kind of a losing battle because Godzilla is Godzilla. He's got atomic breath. He's big. He's huge.
Yeah, that's it. I said it was kind of ridiculous, and it is. Don't be wrong, but there is stakes and emotion for what's actually happening at the same time.
There is, because the plot of the movie is that a giant egg, a giant egg appears out in the water near a Japanese fishing town, and they take the egg in. An evil businessman buys it from the fisherman at a stupidly low price, and him and his seedy boss. We'll call them Businessman One and Businessman Two. Businessman Two being the boss, and they take in the egg, and their plan is to put it in like a big sort of museum and charge people to come and see it, and they're going to make money off of it, like seedy, evil capitalists. How dare they? And our main characters are a trio. We've got a reporter, a photographer who works with the reporter, and then a scientist who kind of team up and are kind of investigating what's going on. And basically, we find out through the course of the movie that this egg is Mothra's. Mothra's laid this egg, and it's Mothra's child or children who are inside it. And the two little twins, what are they referred to again? They're a staple of Mothra. Who come the Shobijin. Oh dear, Japanese words.
Tiny little people.
They're tiny little people. They fit in like a sort of music box. That's kind of what they get carried around in. But they're kind of like the ambassadors for Mothra, who will talk on her behalf, kind of idea.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what they are. And they're here. They come from Infinite Island, which is where Mothra. It's even where Godzilla's from. It's where, but they mention, and some of the themes of the movie, like the first movie, still kind of creep in here. Where a lot of that island is uninhabitable now because you did nuclear testing and
Yeah.
you've kind of ruined their home. So some of those themes kind of still creep in, but so a lot of the movie is like our human characters try to get the egg back from the seedy businessmen, and then eventually Godzilla shows up, and they have to go and beg Mothra to come and fight Godzilla, and hopefully protect her own egg, which is also in jeopardy.
Yeah, like I said, it's kind of ridiculous, but fun because you've got Mothra going, I don't really want to do this, but then my that is my egg.
True. Oh, to be fair, it's actually the others. It's the natives and it's the twins who are like, sorry. Like, and the twins especially are quite friendly with these characters because they tried to get the egg back and they couldn't.
Yeah.
And they're quite friendly to them. But it's like, nah, like, it's not going to happen. It obviously didn't say it like that. Partially because I'm not speaking Japanese, but also I said that in a really kind of, sorry buddy, it's not happening. But it's actually Mothra herself who like makes a sound and is like, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go be the hero. And you kind of like respect her because even though they failed, she respects that they tried to help her before. So it's there's a little emotional connection and you feel the impact. And so she goes off to fight Godzilla and we get our big fight. And that's kind of the movie. that's kind of
it is. It's a very simple movie. It's fight one, fight two.
I do have to laugh though. You said this is ridiculous. You haven't seen anything.
Oh no. I just mean compared to what we've had before. Whereas even like King Kong and Raids Again, they're still very. I hesitate to use the word, but grounded for what they are. For what they are, I added that on. They're very much like they give you. Here's a very logical explanation for everything. Whereas this was like, nah, screw it. We're having the little girls. We're just gonna do it. We're gonna go. We're accepting that this is a ridiculous premise, and we're gonna finally lean into it.
Which I'm pretty sure comes from Mothra, like the Mothra's movie. I think they're in that movie. I've not seen it, but I assume they are.
Right, but they could have, if they'd wanted to. I'm sure they could have done this without that, and they could have kept it in keeping tonally with what they'd had the three before. But they didn't. They decided, no, we're going to lean into the more silly aspects.
Yeah, but later on we get to aliens and time travel, so look forward to.
Well, yeah, but this is the start of that. I'm saying, this is where like they embrace it here, and I'm sure that frees them up to evolve into further wackiness.
I like this one a lot. I like I say, the main fight has emotion in it. Mothra's pretty cool. There's some good action there with that fight. I also like the evil businessmen. I actually really like their subplot where like eventually like they don't trust each other and it ends up degrading into this ridiculous fight between them when neither one of them really knows how to fight, and it is hilarious and glorious at the same time.
It's the equivalent of when you watch a cartoon, you have the two people like with their heads turned, they're like slapping each other like that.
Yeah,
that's what this fight was the equivalent of.
Yeah, I enjoyed it because even when they see the twins in the box, they try to buy them. they try to buy like everything because like, that's worth money. We can flog
I love
this.
how like that when they show up to them, the twins show up to the businessmen first, and they're like, quick, capture them. And it just looks like they're going crazy to the person who's walking past.
Yeah, that's a really good scene actually. Is when they first show up and they're just like sort of running around with a coat, just trying to
catch them.
It's essentially they're just treating them like the big flies, where they're just trying to like get them in a cup or something like that. That's what it felt like.
Or maybe like how you'd catch a moth.
Yeah, but they're very, very good.
I say that, but I'm sure that was actually intentional.
Possibly. But it's fun. I think the characters are fun. Obviously, the main core characters that we follow, the protagonists, they're pretty sort of plain bread, and they're there to function as for the story and sort of drive the plot.
They're kind of the default heroes, aren't they? Where they're inherently good and doing the right thing.
And I mean, they're nowhere near as deep, and there's not as much of a plot going on with them. But it's very interesting to me that much like the original Godzilla, it's two guys and a girl. Like there seems to be this core idea of a trio. At the center of the movie.
Does that pop up a lot? Do you know, or can you not remember?
Oh, I can't remember. But I feel like here, because they don't go into like a love triangle or anything like that. There's not even. I don't even think there's a hint of that. Even two of them are into each other, let alone.
I don't recall any.
A triangle. It's purely platonic. Which honestly, in that case, it's actually kind of refreshing because.
Yeah, it was very much just a working relationship, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, the reporter and the journalist are working, or the photographer and the journalist are working together because, obviously they go hand in hand. They're both working for the paper. Which reminds me, there's a great running gag with someone else who works at the paper who keeps eating eggs. And for some reason, this cracked me up every time he was just standing there with an egg.
Well, is it the first time it was amusing because he was eating the egg. It was clearly like, breakfast, whatever. And then they started talking.
Oh,
about
and for the
egg
record, when we say he's eating an egg, it's not like he's cooked it and it's on a plate. It's not like it's
it's just like it's a hard-boiled egg that's been peeled.
So it's still in the shape of an egg. Is the point I'm making, right? So it's still egg shaped.
Yeah, so the first time he's just eating it, and then he hears about the giant egg store, and he looks at his egg. He's like, "Do I really want to eat this?" But then every time you see him in the rest of the movie, he's like, "Nah, screw it. I want my eggs." It's great.
Yeah, and the boss like gives him shit because the boss is basically a Japanese J. Jonah Jameson from the sounds of it. It's hard to
Pretty
tell
much.
through the language, but it feels like that's what it is. I mean, obviously we had subtitles on, but yeah. So I'll just give a sort of blanket spoiler warning now, just so we can dive into any other details, because obviously like the main fight's great, but when Mothra does go down, and I was kind of thinking, or at least when I first watched it, I was thinking, oh, I bet there's going to be a replacement in the egg, and that's how we're going to, and
Yeah.
they actually kind of, I dare to call anything scientifically thought out, but the fact that it does hatch into larvae, and it's like two larvae
It's
instead
not
of
just
yeah.
a big moth again.
Yeah, like so at least they put a little bit of thought into that, so that's nice. So
I also respect that there was two, not just one. So at least that they're like, no, we can have another Mothra.
so I do respect all of this. But if I have a complaint, it's that the final fight was like, oh, the two larvae are now going to go after Godzilla. They just kind of like go to him and beat him without much of a fight.
Yeah, I like that they decide to no, they're going to go and they're going to do what has to be done. I liked that because the whole thing was they're defending their home.
Yeah.
Like instinctively, they're defending their home, and it's just they shoot the silk basically, and it's like, okay, that's it.
Yeah, Godzilla just gets wrapped up in that, and he falls into the water, and that's the end. And our heroes wave goodbye at the twins who are on the larvae, and they're all out to sea, going back to Infinite
I
Island.
love the shots of the larvae swimming.
I know, it looks pretty good. No, I think this one's a lot of fun. I think it's a. I mean, again, I can't remember a lot of the later ones too well, but this one feels quite tight, where it doesn't feel like there's a lot of time wasting. It feels like everything's about setting up the main menace, setting up Godzilla, and even Godzilla's teased early on because they find like a bit of his skin. They don't know that's what it is at first, but they find like a radioactive bit of like chunk of something.
Yeah,
and it turns out to be a part of his skin. And that's kind of it.
I like how Godzilla. It doesn't actually come into it for quite a while.
No, it's a good 30-40 minutes before he starts.
I respect the fact that I think I go back to the 2014 Godzilla movie. Big complaint a lot of people had was not enough Godzilla. And I think of this, it's like there's a lot of restraint of just let's have the human characters do their stuff.
Yeah, because it's really the humans and the little twins, and yeah, you see Mothra briefly because she's like here to see if she's getting her egg back, but that's about it. It's mostly just let's try and get the egg back from these greedy businessmen. But it's a fun little plot because they're actually kind of funny and seedy. Just
yeah, exactly.
The way they keep trying to buy things, and they're really slimy. Like when they're accused of like ripping the farmer or the fisherman off, it's like, oh no. The price of an egg is so many yen, and this is 10,000 times bigger. So I just multiplied the price of an egg by 10,000, and that's what I paid them. And I'm like,
his maths is infallible.
That's like saying that would work for gold, right? If you had a little bit of gold, and then you said, "Here's a big bit of gold," yeah, okay, that would work to a point, depending on the carats and whatnot. But right, but. No, you're saying this is a rare thing, though. This is valuable. Like, by the chunk, this is worth way more.
Yeah.
So, but I appreciate his trickery.
Yeah, I do as well. And that's the thing, because this movie does go so long without Godzilla or anything else, it could feel like it's just, killing time, it's boring. But because this stuff is legitimately quite fun, it never feels like it's missing having the monsters.
Yeah, and then eventually when the two of them do start fighting, because number two, the one who's working under number one, who's working under number two, he like realizes he's not getting his money, and we've seen like a tease earlier on in the movie where he sees all of his money in the safe, so he knows what it all is, and like he's sliming out of the deal, so they start fighting, and he tries to like get to the safe and get to the money, and the boss man ends up killing him. He ends up winning the fight, and he's dead. But as he's trying to leave, that's when Godzilla's like rampaging through like the area, and he ends up getting crushed into the debris. And it's actually kind of satisfying. It's like two characters you're happy to see die.
Well, yeah, it's very much an anti-capitalism message where it's like, yeah, you spend so much time, being focused on just your money. That's all they cared about, and ultimately it got them killed because
Yeah.
They disregarded the safety warnings because they were too concerned with the money.
Yeah. I mean, to boil it right down to just the one scene, like everyone else was evacuating and they were fighting over the money, and
Yeah.
that was. I mean, obviously you can take it out to the whole movie, like that's their entire mantra the whole time, but boil it down to one scene: evacuation. Others are leaving. They're fighting over money. There's your message.
Yeah.
And obviously everyone else is like, no, but this egg's like a national or a public commodity. Like this is something that belongs to everyone. This is kind of the other argument.
Yeah, they're basically like, it should be a public free museum, essentially.
Yeah, and they're like, ha ha ha, we want to make money. Away you go, peasants. Come back with your money, and we'll let you in. I mean, I have no idea what yen translates to other currencies because yen always sounds really expensive.
I think it's because there's a lot of yen to a dollar.
Because this movie, I'm just looking over at the budget here, cost 200 million yen, but 200 million yen is not the same as $200 million by any stretch.
So I'll have a look now. $1 is at the moment 114 yen.
All right. So what's 200 million yen? Now, admittedly,
200 and then 6 zeros.
Admittedly, there's been inflation since the 60s, but just to give a rough...
What's that? 175.
Oh, God.
About 17 million? 17 and a half?
Oh, okay, that sounds about right, actually. I mean, obviously there's been inflation, but assuming they've both inflated roughly the same amount...
No, sorry, 1.7 million. I'm reading the numbers wrong.
Oh, that's maybe quite low then.
Yeah.
Perhaps, I don't know. Maybe it was a little bit more back then, depending on how inflation's went on both sides. It's hard to tell. But, yen always sounds like it's really expensive. Because you're talking about millions.
It does, that's it, because it's, 100 times to the dollar.
Yeah, so you're going to buy, like, some milk, and it's like, oh, it's 500 yen, please. You're like, okay. Sure.
It's also quite expensive milk.
I just picked a random number. I didn't actually stop to think about how much milk is worth. God damn it, Connor, shut up.
Just saying.
So no, that's fine. I've lost it. I think it's a solid movie.
That's it. I think, like you say, it's very tight. It does what it has to do, and it's fun. And
do you know what I like? I like that the Godzilla theme is there, but it's a slightly different version of it that sounds a little bit more sinister because it never goes into the full... And it's strange to say this because obviously this theme comes from the original movie where he was this villain. He was this force of nature that was like representing nuclear war and whatever. But there's almost that whole heroic part of the track that's sort of the strings.
Yeah.
The da na 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 na, like, and that never like the backing track's there for it, like the bass is there for it, but the strings themselves never come in.
I think it's because we never actually get a Godzilla rampage. We hear about it and we have the fight, but we never really see him, destroying the city and going around and being the force of nature Godzilla.
I suppose that's true. That said, though, I say heroic because I think I associate that more with the later movies when he is being the hero and he is beating the bad monsters. Like I think of that theme coming in. How often it actually did is maybe open for debate. Maybe it's one of these things where my mind's just kind of linking it up in my head.
You're remembering it wrong.
Yeah. But we'll see because we got him fighting Ghidorah next movie, so
looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it. Ghidorah is probably my favourite Godzilla villain. I mean, he's got giant bat wings, 3 heads, and he has lightning breath.
What's not to like?
Exactly. Oh man, he's going to be in the new. He's going to be in the Godzilla King of the Monsters, the new one.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to see what a big budget King Ghidorah looks like. Oh, it's going to be.
Can't wait to hear what it sounds like.
Well, that's the thing. He's got a really unique sound effect actually in these movies. I don't know if you've ever heard them.
I have. Yeah. That's why I'm intrigued.
Yeah, it's this really high pitched kind of thing that's going on.
That said, I think the Godzilla sound effect's quite unique.
It is actually. It's got a unique roar.
You hear it, and I go, "That's Godzilla!" Like immediately.
It's like it starts off like a dinosaur kind of roar, but then it's got this kind of pipeness to it at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
it's a cool sound.
But no, I highly recommend. And if you're like taking the 28, well now 29 Japanese Godzilla movies and you're condensing them down to say like 10 must-sees, this one's probably in it. I mean, it's hard to say that without seeing all the rest.
That's it. I'm only 4 in. I cannot judge that yet.
But I would recommend Mothra versus Godzilla. It's I mean, King Kong was okay, but I feel like you could probably go from Godzilla to this, and you're on kind of the good path.
I'd probably recommend that. Definitely skip raids again.
Aye, I mean, unless you're a completist, in which by all means I understand, because I am too. But
yeah.
If you're wanting to condense it down a little bit and maybe get out some of the riffraff.
That's it. With King Kong's like, if you really like King Kong, I guess, but it's not a must-watch.
No, it's just those fun moments. But that dragged a little bit, that one. It had some padding. Whereas this one, not so much. So I guess we should just rate it then. Out of 10.
Could go straight up 7. It's pretty good.
Yeah. I think 7's quite... you know what? I'm going to go 7.5. I'm going to... Because I'm more of a... I'm not as pessimistic as Connor.
I don't know how that wasn't pessimistic. 7. It's good.
Yeah, but it's more pessimistic than 7.5.
Well, only because you said 7.5 afterwards. If you'd said 7.5 and then I said 7...
Well, that's the beauty of being the host and telling you to go first.
Aye, making me look bad.
It's the perk. It's one of the perks of the job. There's not very many, but that's one of them.
Could tell what you can get.
So there you go. That's Mothra vs Godzilla. We'll be back in about a month or so with Godzilla versus King Ghidorah. Or no, that's not what it's called. That's a later movie. It's called Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. Sorry, I'm mixing up my titles. To be fair, there's been like 5 Ghidorah movies. Come on.
Shame on you.
But aye, Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, that's the next Godzilla movie. We'll have that in about a month or so. We'll have more movies on Flux in the next week. So thank you very much for watching. Let us know what you thought of this movie in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailedfuzztv. Check out some of the bonuses. A lot of them are related to movies and voting for a bonus movie. In fact, have we even spoke about what the vote is?
No, I think that was supposed to be on this video.
It was supposed to be. Luckily, I stumbled into it anyway. So neat.
Question is, can you remember the films off the top of your head?
I can. The theme for the vote, because on the Patreon, one of the perks for the $5 tier is that you get to vote on a bonus episode of 1.21 in Flux. You get to vote from 4 movies that we'll cover in the following month. So last month's vote, I've not announced the winner of the last one yet actually. The theme was Christopher Nolan, because he's got a new film coming out this month, and we thought, oh, we'll do one that sort of not ties into that film directly, but another one of his. And the winner of that was Memento. So we will be doing Memento on an upcoming episode sometime this month. This month's vote for next month's bonus film is a little bit more random, because we didn't have like no, that's what we're going to base it on. So we picked a year. We have a theme of a year. All the films are from 1987. And they're all films that Connor's not seen, and I have not seen most of them. There's only one that I have seen. I have seen The Untouchables, which is one of the options. But the other options are Raising Arizona, which is a Coen Brothers film, Broadcast News, and Good Morning Vietnam. There you go. I only hesitated for like a second. That was pretty great for not having it in front of me.
Could have gone much worse.
It could have gone much worse. It could have been like, what's the 4th movie? Oh god. But there you go. That's the vote up. So if you want to head over there, have a look, do that. But that is us, guys. So thank you very much for watching. Once again, keep watching movies. We'll see you next time.